So this is the Will It Work podcast with Will Bridgman, the Managing Director of Warren Services. For those who may have stumbled across this podcast who don't know me, I run Warren Services, a subcontract manufacturing business. So we make other people's products for them. We cut metal, we bend metal, we machine metal, we paint metal, we assemble metal things, and we wire it up. You know, we service lots of industries across the world, but you can have a look at our website, www.warrenservices.co.uk.
To a very high level.
To a very high level, Russell.
Bit.
In lots and lots of sectors, highly regulated sectors. But today, more importantly, we've got Russell Watkins here, who I always think of as our lean queen. I will introduce him by saying the first time I reached out to Russell, I asked him to do some work for me, and he went, no. I went, that's not how it normally goes. And he went, yeah, but no, we can't polish a turd. We're not doing any pig's ear work here.
Yeah.
You know, no. And then we obviously did get back together again at some point, and then you decided that I was good enough to work for. So tell us your story, Russell, how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Well, it wasn't a case of good enough. What it was well, first off, lean queen. I use the term lean queen for myself a lot because us lean people, we are professionals.
Am I not meant to use that term?
No.
Is that only your own?
No. I'm overjoyed for you too. The thing about lean queens is I use it to keep humility because I am a professional stone thrower. Yeah, you and Richard and your family, you went all in to start a manufacturing business. Yeah, at some point somebody put their mortgage on the line and took a massive risk. Yeah, me, I took a different path, and so I'm paid to throw stones and to say, well, you could do this better, that better. And Lean Queen reminds me that I have to remain humble because I didn't take the path that you and Richard and the rest of the family did.
But you are a professional stone thrower, and I was thinking, it's easy for him. He isn't going to actually do it. But you you have got your own business. You know, you're not working for someone else. You do work for yourself. So you have taken that plunge.
It's true.
You just haven't got loads of employees.
It's true. There's only like 8 of us in total, and 6 of those are freelancers. So yeah. But I guess the big difference in terms of step-ups is that you have lots of mortgages and rents dependent upon you.
Yes.
But more to the point, the first time I met you, I actually didn't meet you. I watched you speak at Make UK. Got to be a good 7 years ago now.
Yeah.
You were there, you were as ever for, and you were punching above your weight and standing up there, bunnying, looking like a £200 million company.
Yeah, I wish.
because your tremendous skills credentials and your environmental credentials. And I heard you speak with such passion about skills that I reached out to you on LinkedIn and said, hey, good work, keep it up. Didn't hear a thing. Year later, Saturday night, I'm on my sofa, a couple of craft beers deep, something pops into my inbox on LinkedIn, you might be able to help us. And that was you.
Yeah.
That's the point. I came all the way here, drove across the country to see you and said no.
Yeah, but I did appreciate that. Yeah, how did you end up doing this job?
So by accident, I blagged my way in. So turns out, during COVID, to keep in contact...
No, I'm not... Way back.
No, I'll get there.
Okay.
I'll get there. During COVID, to keep in contact with my mother, who's 80, and down in Southampton, we started doing our family tree ancestry. It turns out there are generations of, horse thieves, murderers, but also there are a lot of manufacturing folk in my background. I didn't know that until 2021, funny enough. But when I left university... I needed to earn money to go travelling with my then girlfriend, now wife. We earned money in where a mother worked, which was a tiny little turn parts company. My first time I went into a factory.
What machines did they have?
Whitmans.
Multi-spindles?
Yes.
Oh, amazing.
6 spindle Whitmans from 5/8 to 2-inch or something like that.
They are just unbelievable machines.
Changeover was ludicrous. Made in Coventry, I think.
Yeah, you'd never have your single-minute exchange of die with one of them things.
I tried, but you see, I started working there, and you know, a life told backwards has a nice, easy chronology. It's a bit like a rose-tinted spectacle thing. Well, I swear blind that I went in there and it was like coming home. manufacturing. They were making something because I'd done a degree in finance, so I loved it. I was there for a year, worked in
So
stores.
my degree is in banking and finance. Why I did that and not study engineering, I don't know. I think it was I saw how hard my father had to work in manufacturing and thought, oh, I'm quite good at maths. There's probably an easier way to make a pound than making things. So yeah, I didn't realise that.
I think it's a perfect background for a lean queen, particularly because you are always thinking from a founder owner's point of view. ROA, ROI, return on assets. What assets have they got? What do they pay for? What should they invest in? What shouldn't they invest in? What does a balance sheet look like? Is this going to affect the P&L or cash flow? That background helps you because it links whatever you do to something that's useful.
How long did you work in the turn parts business for?
I was there for about a year and a half, and then I blagged my way into the British government at that point, who apparently are over there. They got bored of sending business people to Japan to ooh-and-ah their way around factories, try some sushi, have a go at karaoke, dip in the onsen, come home, do nothing. So they said, well, that's not working, it's just lean tourism. They can't see past the posters. So they bought 6 Japanese masters over, 2 from Honda, 2 from Toyota, 2 from Nissan, to the UK to work here for 3, 4, 5 years.
Government funded.
Government funded through the SMMT, the Society of Manufacturers Traders. They set up an arm called Industry Forum. I blagged my way in there as their first non-engineer employee because I have a silvery tongue occasionally. Got in, spent a year being savaged by a Toyota Japanese master engineer. It was painful, but I loved it, and it all grew from there.
But see, when suddenly you're with this Japanese,
Yeah.
god basically,
Yeah.
and you didn't have a clue what even lean was,
Terrified.
or had you?
I dabbled with it because I'd been a capacity planner previously, so I'd gone from that turn parts company to then being a capacity planner and working in materials. So my background in manufacturing is materials, and I dabbled with a bit of lean, and I thought, I don't really understand this. And then I saw this. I'd always had an affinity. I can't explain this. I'd always had an affinity for anything Japanese. And then I saw this advert in the Birmingham Evening Post. Went, I'm going for that, and I went for it. Got it.
What are they actually advertising for?
They're advertising for. They wanted UK-based production engineers to come and work as continuous improvement consultants.
But you weren't a production engineer.
No.
You weren't an engineer.
No.
You'd worked in a turns parts company.
You
must have been good at blagging.
I was. Well,
When the Japanese spoke, they say, "What have you been doing?" Or did he? Luckily, he couldn't really understand what you were saying, so you could get away with it.
Well, that's it. I tell you, you haven't lived until you've been in a company in Dundee or Edinburgh or Manchester or wherever, and you're being abused verbally by a Japanese sensei who is old style. I'm going to give you kidney punches and you're going to grow.
Yeah, literally.
No, metaphorically.
Yeah.
And you are both in pain, but you are impressed by the fact that your interpreter.
Oh, so no joke inside, they couldn't speak any English.
So
you're getting
abused
real
time
by
through
the interpreter.
But she was able to listen to his abuse and real time translate whilst taking the next bit of abuse.
Had she come from Japan, or was she a British person that understood Japanese?
She was Japanese, and she'd married a Scottish fella. Mummy said her name. She was a tremendous interpreter because she also had a slight technical understanding. So we'd be in companies all the time.
Were these all to do with the motor vehicle industry? All automotive.
It was all automotive at that point.
Because it was backed by that. Yeah.
So we'd be in companies from 8 till 5, and I'd be leading activities. It was a in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king kind of. I'm leading you, but I'm only a couple of hours ahead of you. And then at the end of the day, we'd have a debrief where there'd be some abuse and there'd be some Socratic questioning, and then he'd train me over the year. And it was only 9 months in a Bradford curry house that I finally snapped. I don't cry often, I reckon I've cried once in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I don't cry very often either.
I didn't even cry when my old man cooked it. I didn't even cry.
Yeah.
But I was in our garden in Cheltenham with Steph, my wife, and I just I just added up to here, and I can't do it. I was about to throw it in. I never throw anything in.
No.
So we went away the next week to a curry house in Bradford, and he was shouting at me, particularly nice Japanese word, bakairo, which means you are a effing idiot and I cannot teach you. You're unteachable.
Yeah.
And at that point, I snapped. I snapped and I went, it's your job to teach me.
Yeah. Maybe you're not a very good teacher.
And from that moment on,
okay.
The relationship changed. But he was, I thank him now. I'm still in touch now. I had a WhatsApp from him on Sunday. I keep in touch with him.
Were you in literally in a company for a week or
Yeah.
a couple of weeks, then another company,
Yeah.
so it's quite
Full on.
full on.
Good though,
Yeah.
because you have to develop your diagnosis.
Were you a
skills
bit
rapidly.
shit at the start?
Yeah.
But after 3-6 months, all of a sudden it's like, shit, I've learnt loads. And more, not that, I suppose is it not really about the tech, it's about the people. It's how you engage with those people. You can have all these flashy things, but if you don't learn how to engage that guy that does the thing,
Too right.
you ain't got a chance.
Too right. I reckon it's three things. So now whenever I go into a business now, I'm looking at the intersection of three circles. What
Is that like a Venn diagram?
A Venn diagram.
Ooh.
And there's a tiny bit in the middle. I'm interested. The first circle is, what does the business need? Where does it want to go? Because you have to look at why have you called me? What is it you want to achieve over the next year? Is it to ease pain or to get gain? Then I look at what's the capability of the current group of people there. Who's got the best knowledge to be able to do this, and where's the gap that I can help fill? And then I look at what's the current condition of the company. And in the middle of that, there is the next 2 or 3 actions that will get them to where they need to go. Because you can
Don't try and do too much stuff.
You can do 1,000 things. Because from running this place, there are 1,000 variables at work.
Yep.
But you can't do everything at once because you end up being a bit shit on everything.
Yeah.
As opposed to doubling down.
So how long were you with the Japanese sensei? How long was he here before he left you on your own?
So that's where the name of my business, Senpai, came from actually, because the model is Sensei, Senpai, Kohai. I was with him for 15 months. At the start, I was the Kohai, the junior. You pin your ears back, you try and learn, you try not to be too much of a fool, and you just get involved, get stuff on your fingernails and learn. Then after 6 months, your Senpai, the one who's more senior to you, rotates out and goes solo. And then you become the Senpai. It's a bit like that Billy Connolly story. So Billy Connolly tells a story where he was learning to play the banjo. I think he was on Princess Street or maybe Sockhill Street in Glasgow. And he said on week 1, he was sat there learning. By week 7, he was up front teaching because he was on page 23. And the nearest to him was on page 21.
Yep.
So, of the music.
So
book.
literally, he's like, you got to learn it. And then would he come back and check that you were doing the...
No, that's what the 12 months is for.
Right.
His gift was it was all about the basic techniques. So he was you'd say to him, can we do some Kanban? No. 5S, standardized work, 7 waste, visual management, data analysis, it's all you need. He was dead set on, you tread this path so that in 12 months' time, if you stray off the path, you can find your way back on, and you know how to do it. He was that, and how do you engage the team, as you said. During that 12 months, the debriefing and the abuse sessions at the end of each day were about...
Oh, so did you start off by watching him do it?
No.
What, from day one, you had to do it?
As the junior. So on the first activity, my senpai, Nigel, who I keep in touch with, he would be delivering 70% of it.
Oh, there was already an English...
Yes.
How had he been trained?
By Mixan. 6 months earlier, he'd started.
Oh, you came in 6 months into the
Yes,
programme.
yeah,
right,
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it.
And the whole thing rotated through. So my first 5S activity was in Edinburgh.
So you were actually trained by your senpai and then abused by your sensei.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
he'd be abusing your teacher as well as at the same time.
Yeah.
Like
I say abusing makes growing.
Yeah.
You know the harsh.
It wasn't for the weak.
The harsh weather forces a tree to root deep.
Did many people just bin it off?
Jacket. No, but not many got in. if you got in, you wanted to be there
Yeah.
because you wanted to get the good learning. The opportunity. So my sensei, Toshiyuki Muraoka, he worked in the Kamigo engine plant in Japan, and that's where Taichi Ono, Toyota
Yeah.
Production System, he did most of his experiments on pulse systems and that. So I knew it was worth sticking it out. But his whole job, he was in the room all the time when you're teaching and when you're on the shop floor doing. So he was watching everything and then selectively forcing you to consider your performance. So every time I've come here, at the end of the day, I review, what did I do well, what didn't I do well, that was good, that was a bit weak. So you become self-reliant.
Yeah.
You can keep learning.
So have you played the sensei? Do you consider yourself a sensei yet?
No, never,
Not yet.
never.
But have you done the senpai
Yeah,
role of training the next
yeah,
lean queens?
yeah, lots. In JCB, I helped them to set up their academy and trained the lean trainers there. In lots of other small businesses, I've done it in large pharmaceutical businesses. I did it in a Toyota Group company.
Have some of those people then gone and left and
Yeah.
become their own?
Well, the proudest thing is sometimes you want a lean coordinator, so somebody who's going to lead a bit of lean in a business. You want them to self-fund.
Yep.
So you want them to generate 2 to 3 times savings of their salary.
So then me as the business owner goes, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, carry on, and you can grow it.
Because if I don't see the benefit, I'm going to go and I bin that off.
Bin it off.
Yeah, yeah.
So some of them. So I've worked with the gaffer in the business to take an operator off the shop floor. One of them is now a VP of operations, and I've also worked with middlemen. And by the way, I can't take credit for all that. I played a part.
Yeah.
One of them was a middle manager who was stuck on, they're not giving me what I want, I can't do any more. And so I helped him to unstick and say, stop crying, control what you can and build what you can from where you are, and then worry about the rest of it. He's now running a £150 million business. Again, he did that. Sometimes you play a role in the
So how
sticking.
long were you on that programme for?
I was on that for two and a bit years.
So you did the first 6 months, you were trained by your senpai, and then you became a senpai and you trained the next person along.
Yeah.
And that's how it
And
continued. And did that produce quite a lot of lean people that we
did.
didn't used to have in the UK? There was like a cohort. Do you still see those people around?
I do. Yeah. I do a podcast with 2 of them called The Rest Is Lean. We do.
That is quite good, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's the other 2 that are probably better than you, I would have said, probably.
Yeah. I think they probably agree, actually.
They're carrying you.
They're carrying me. Yeah.
We might get another 3rd member.
Hey, I've made a career out of being carried. So yeah, I keep in touch with them. It created about 30 engineers who managed to spend time with Japanese engineers. But don't forget, stretching back to the 80s, 90s, there are people who work with Nissan, with Honda, with Toyota, in the transplant companies in this country.
Is it though that, like, even if you could you read? There's so much stuff on YouTube out there, books. If you were minded to learn those things and then go out and try and do the work, do you think you could learn it that way, or does having that connection with the Japanese person made it different in some way?
It helps. It helps in that the biggest. So there's a movement called 2-second lean at the moment, and 2-second lean is really good at simplifying lean.
Yeah.
Hacking it down. 5S becomes 3S. Standardized work is a lot simpler. However, there is a little bit gets lost in translation because some of them end up getting a bit stuck and not linking what they're doing to a business need. But here's the thing. You don't need a lean queen to do lean stuff.
No.
All you need to do is have a need. So I get asked on LinkedIn, what books do you recommend? And I say, I don't recommend books. I have a shelf full of books, but I don't read them.
Not even your own book?
No, which is... No. Eventually in Leanland, don't buy it. The first half's a bit boring, second half, it picks up.
Yeah,
but
I'd agree.
It's not worth the cover
It'd be
price.
better if it was an audio book.
Yeah.
I have said this a number of times.
You have, yeah.
And you've just ignored me.
I have, yeah. But I get asked, what book should I read? And I say, well, what do you want to learn about? And they say lean, and I say, okay, that's too big.
I'm not sure that was like, what is the book called? I can't remember. Your book.
Adventures in Leanland.
Adventures in Leanland.
Yeah.
Get it from all good bookstores.
Now, but here's the thing. There are a gazillion books. In writing a book, I've added to the great dustbin of lean content, yeah. We're not short of lean books.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go fishing, yeah, you want to catch a fish. You
I love a fish analogy.
You put the right bait on the hook and you cast out to the right part of the pond or river or canal to find the fish you want, yeah. If you want to learn about lean, start with a problem. What do I need to know about? What do I want to know about that is interesting to me and is hurting my business?
This is what you said to me when I first interacted with you. You were like, you're just doing it to like polish something up because someone's told you should do 5S. You've got to have a real problem. And around this room, you can't see this, there's a big value stream map that we've been working with Russell.
Swim lane map.
Swim lane map, sorry.
Yeah.
I've got the wrong words. But this is one of our internal processes from...
It's a release of the job onto the shop floor.
From getting a quote from the customer.
Yes.
You know, an inquiry from the customer.
An inquiry, yeah.
So a non-manufacturing process, but very important part of our process. So, you know, that was a bit, you know, we needed to speed up that process.
Yeah.
So then, right, what do we do? What can we look at?
Yeah.
And it's quite frightening. I don't want to look at it anymore.
No, well, so...
It's making me feel ill.
So, but the point is, if you've got a problem you want to solve, it's like going to a doctor. A metaphor switch now, yeah? You go to the doctor and say, I'm in pain, yeah? And the doctor says, well, tell me where it hurts. That's the same thing. Or if you go to a doctor
Just
and
hurts.
say, I want to learn about medicine.
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult.
Which bit?
You can learn by doing, and if you've got a problem and you solve that problem, it's going to make you then want to learn and read some more stuff, rather than reading it all at the start.
Yeah. And also, you know, lean hasn't got all the answers. A lot of this is common sense, and a lot of it is just... The more I go on, yeah. So I've been 30 years in this game now. I'm trying to simplify, and I'm moving away from the lean stuff a little bit. And more and more I'm thinking about it's about the alignment of incentives. People up and down the business, have they got the same dog in the race? Are they after the same things? And that includes Hoshin, it includes bonuses, it includes what they're measured on.
Yeah.
And I'm all about creating good habits.
If you measure the wrong things, you can get very perverse outcomes and incentives. If you're, you know, people will find a way, whether the right way or the wrong way, to achieve success in their metric.
Yeah.
And then you think, shit, I didn't really want that to happen. You're a bit like, you did say, so you've got to be very, very careful about how you set those objectives.
You've got to be careful, especially because there's often unintended consequences. If you incentivise one metric, something else might get sacrificed for it. You know Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, Berkshire Hathaway, massive investors, Utah-based. I don't know how, but Buffett's now 90 plus and lives on McDonald's and Coke, I think. But he's as rich as Croesus. But they developed a paired metric thing. So they look at the key metrics and they say, okay, we're not going to put one metric in. We're going to have one metric and pair it with another that tries to stop
the other one going wrong.
Being gamified.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. They're very clever guys.
They're very clever guys.
Charlie Munger's now dead. They're not both.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're very old.
But if they're
Warren Buffett's still alive.
Yeah, he's still good. But that takes us back to starting simply. So safety, quality, delivery, cost, people, yeah? If you're not doing any kind of lean, what do you measure? Well, you measure safety, quality, delivery, cost, people. Everyone goes home with the same fingers and toes they came with. Safety. Quality, we ship good product to the drawing. Delivery next, in that order, because there's no point shipping shit. Cost, because we have to do all that within the cost to keep you fat and happy.
Yes.
And to reinvest in the business. And people, because we want people who can control all that and improve it a bit. Now, if you start to measure that, here be dragons. Because some people like to then put 4 or 5 metrics around each of those. It's 20 metrics.
Keep it simple.
One metric, or...
I'm quite a simple person.
If you're a Munger fan, a couple of paired metrics.
Yes, to stop the metric going crazy.
Yes.
But obviously, like you say, safety has always got to come first. You know, we employ, you know, mothers and daughters and granddaughters, husbands and wives, fathers and sons. You know, you don't want anyone to go home injured. No. So that always has to sort of be at the top level.
Yeah.
And like you say, the quality, it's got to be right.
Yeah.
No one wants it on time but wrong.
Yeah.
And then you've got to make it for the right price.
Safety first, quality always.
Yes.
That's the way that I've reconciled it. And like everything else, I've stolen that phrase from somewhere else.
Yeah, probably.
Do you know, I've almost been hurt seriously in factories twice. And both times were my fault.
But it wasn't here, I hope.
No.
That's good. I was hoping you weren't going to go, I nearly got crushed by
No.
I was like, I didn't see that in the near miss reporting.
No.
But it was your own stupidity.
Do you want to hear about them briefly?
Go on.
It's interesting because I am now, 15 years ago, I appeared to be one of the safest people around, but I was giving it lip service. Now I am one of the safest people around. I walk around factories in right angles. I'm very careful. First time, I was early 20s. I was counting stock. I could see a bin up on the racking.
You didn't climb up on the
I
racking.
climbed up the racking. I grabbed hold of the bin, yeah?
And it fell over.
And the bin was empty.
Yeah.
And you know those big metal bins with the posts?
Yeah. With a little rail across the front. Yeah.
I fell onto the floor. Something inside me made me roll back. Bin came down, smack. Narrowly avoided. Never climb racking again.
No.
Don't do it at home, kids. It's not recommended.
It's not clever.
Second time, I was unlucky, but it was also my fault. I was in a Japanese factory working, and within an hour's period, they'd taken down forklift signs, traffic signs, to put up new ones to change the flow. I happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I walked across a gangway that I shouldn't have walked across without looking, and the forklift driver had the reflexes of a ninja and stopped his fork. Must have been about that far from my ankle.
That would have made a right mess of your ankle.
It would have.
Japanese ninja. But so you did this for a couple of years. Then did you go straight out on your own?
No, I was solo with them. Yeah, I was solo with them for a while, and then I went to work for a. I tell you what happened. We had my daughter Millie, who's now 26, and I didn't want to come home to a list of things she'd done for the first time.
Yeah.
I was away Sunday to Thursday most weeks.
Yep.
So we agreed, got to be at home more. My choice and my wife's choice. And so I needed to get a local job. I worked for a manufacturing company in automotive. Loved that. And then I went to
What was there improvement?
Yes, lean manager.
Yep.
And then...
How was that being somewhere all of the time?
It was interesting because you come out... The other half of the reason I left, half of the reason was Millie. The other half was I had a sneaking suspicion that I couldn't put my finger on, that there was something I wasn't learning, because it's like
you go there, you do your thing, and then you bugger off.
You bugger off, but you go back for 3 follow-ups, but then
you're not there all the time.
You're not there. So my sneaking suspicion is somebody at some point, an operator or team leader, is going to say to me, "How do I maintain this after you've gone?" And I'm going to say, "Well," and give a ropey answer.
Yeah.
And I don't like giving ropey answers.
And all those Japanese fellas had done the doing.
They'd
worked their way through the business.
20, 25, 30 years.
They'd all been operators, I assumed, and then worked their way up.
Yeah, operator
so
5 years, team leader 5
Yep.
years, cell leader, group leader 5 years. So going back into industry, it showed me that, that was quite exciting. I learned a lot, but I didn't learn anything about sustainability, about keeping it going. And that's where you learn it. And I went from there to JCB. I was JCB's global lean person for a couple of years.
That doesn't sound like you were at home very much.
Tell you, so the main JCB plant with the fancy lake outside is about 15 minutes from my house, yeah. So we thought, boom.
Perfect.
17 factories around the world, 13 of them are within an hour of my house. Perfect. In that 2 years I was there, the trouble with being a pretty good lean person is you get treated like Red Adair. That's
Go and put some fires out.
Go and put some fires out. So in that 2 years, I went to Savannah 4 times, India 7 times, Japan once, China twice, Germany 4 times.
Did you rock up in Japan? They say, "What are you going to tell us about lean?"
Well, so it's interesting. I've subsequently spent 15 years long-term consulting to a part of Toyota Group, because what I found is I obviously can't teach Toyota anything. This much is true. I can't teach any other Japanese automakers. But when they come to translate it for overseas group companies, there is a sushi and chips bit missing.
Yep.
You know, like a combination.
Yeah.
And it tends to get overcomplicated. So you end up stripping away the overcomplication and making it understandable and practical.
And the Japanese, I've been to Japan a few times, they operate in a different way. They're very, it's just culturally they're different, aren't they? And then something, you can't impose exactly the same thing on a different culture without like changing the flavour very slightly. You know, I remember walking around a factory. I'm quite an inquisitive sort of person.
Never.
And I've got the green hat on and I'm on the yellow walkway. And obviously I'm not, when the green hat meant to go off the yellow walkway. Well, what did I do? Walk off the yellow, well, it caused havoc.
Yeah.
In the factory, it's like, this
What's happening?
great big tall guy's now off the wrong walkway with the wrong hat.
Yeah.
And they just don't do that. We were looking at some equipment for them and I said, I've said this to you before, but the operator might put their hand in the machine.
Yeah.
And the Japanese guy's like, it doesn't understand. And I'm like, yeah, but, and he's like, but why? Yeah. And I'm like, but it might happen. They're like, but that wouldn't happen in Japan. No. So I'm like, but this was a safety system on the machine. Yeah. And they really they were thinking, they weren't being rude. They just thought, well, that's a stupid thing to say because that's not going to happen. Yeah. But in our safety environment, you do have to consider that.
It can happen. And you do have to be nuanced. I don't think it's actually a cultural thing. Sure, there are some cultural differences, like in Japan, they're more concerned about the harmony of the group than the individual.
Yeah.
So therefore, you get subordinated, which is good in some ways, the harmony group, and you look after the group. But then, if you're an outlier in Japan, it's not a good place to be.
Yeah, no.
You know, if you don't fall within the bell curve. However, and all the lean stuff works over here. There are perfectly strong non-Japanese lean businesses, or using TPS derivatives. Danaher, Lantec did it.
Are there people who have actually done a better job of, no, not a better job of lean, but you used it in a way that's been even more beneficial to their business than it's been deployed in Japan? I don't know what I'm even asking there.
I don't think that's a question that has an answer because you never actually become lean.
No.
Or you become, I think about this a lot now. Because there's a lot of chirping about lean transformations. It's not that you're either not lean or you're lean, because I don't think there's a lean business in the world, even Toyota or Nissan or Honda. I think they just get better. It's a continuum. And what happens
continuous improvement.
Yeah, it is that when the world throws crap at them, either internally they lose a key person, something bad happens, big structural change in the products, or externally there's an oil shock or interest rates go up or something, a tsunami, an earthquake. Whereas most businesses they get better at reacting quicker and anticipating those changes.
Going back to the plan.
Yes, returning to normal faster and learning from that. I think that's a true lean transformation because people learn, they put learning loops in, like the conversations we've had here in the past. You run a very, very good high-end engineering business, yeah? And one of the key things for you has always been, when you quote something, when you finally shipped it, did it cost as much as we thought it would in terms of labour time and material time? And are we going to loop that learning back to the people who are quoting so we learn? We
try, we always want, but that could always be better. So when did you start your own business?
2005. No, I'm telling you lies. 2007.
But you were doing the same thing just for lots of businesses.
Yeah.
When did the business change? When did you start thinking about like the one-to-many, the digital thread, away from Russell can go in somewhere for a week and do his business, but that's all you could do because you're restricted by the amount of hours that Russell has.
Yeah. Well, we spent six years trying to clone me in our back bedroom.
Was it like a Frankenstein type sort of?
Frankenstein's lab, yeah.
I'd like to see the results of that.
Yeah, indeed. It was about 2019. I started to get a bit jaded, and I was thinking,
what, from the travel, from relentlessly going to different places?
Yeah, and I never wanted to create a lean empire because lean queens are virtually unmanageable. It's like herding cats.
Yep, I could quite see that.
And as you're unmanageable.
Yes.
And also, I didn't want to have to quality control other people. So then I thought, well, how can I spend time in more businesses but less time in each business? So we come up with Senpai Guide, which is our lean platform, which means that I can blend. So previously I'd have to spend 20 days somewhere. Now I have to spend 6 because there's me on demand and through like award-winning learning, etc.
Is it a better solution, or if you could afford the 20 days, you'd have the 20 days?
I think it's a good mix because the problem with being there so often, and you make this mistake early on, is you create a dependency culture.
Yep.
As in, if you're not there, nothing happens.
So you're breaking that dependency earlier by
breaking it
not
earlier.
being there so much.
But you are. But if you design.
But then they're addicted to you on their laptop.
No. But if you design the learning,
I can get a little rustle in my computer.
if you design the learning well enough and the training well enough, so there are calls to actions, they have to go do. It's set around problems. They have to solve problems. Then they have to go out, upload stuff, and you have cadence visits, so they know you're coming back.
I've just had a really funny thought of, like, now with AI, of like a little Russell doll that you can leave and we can ask it questions. Russell, what do you think about this? You could be in the meeting. No one needs.
No one needs or wants that.
An AI Russell Watkins.
Also, because this is something else to think about. So I'm on my 21st definition of lean. Yeah. I redefine it for myself every year or so. And my current definition is lean is about creating good habits, useful habits. Okay.
Good habits or useful?
Useful habits. Useful.
You said good though.
I meant useful.
All right. Okay.
Useful habits.
If that's going to be your motto, you need to hone that.
I do. Yeah. But useful habits from you as an MD perspective.
Like it on there.
Yeah.
To get a new gillet.
But you as an MD perspective, useful, as in you have certain habits that you do. I walk the shop floor and I'm looking for certain things. I have this kind of check-in review. I do a bit of hosting. You have a habit that you do. And also, as a business, you have some useful habits. Here's the problem. I look back every 3-4 years at what I posted 3 years ago and I think, what's that load of old nonsense?
But it might have been right at the time.
Well, it was all I knew.
Yeah.
So you're always learning. So
it's probably like you learn, as a bit like with science, as you get more, as you sort of understand less, you need less. It becomes lighter.
Yeah.
Actually, I overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
We can make it simpler.
Yeah.
Actually, it's just this thing here.
Yeah.
And then the other things radiate out from that.
Yeah. Well, complexity is a crude state. So I'm working with this is a good example. I'm working with a school dinners business. Yeah. So they make school dinners out of a kitchen down on the south coast, and I'm helping them to increase their capacity. Yeah.
What, and deliver that to schools?
Yes. And that.
So rather than having Mrs. Miggins, the dinner lady at school, they just warm up the dinner.
Yes, that's made fresh in this kitchen I'm helping.
Is it good quality food?
It is good quality. It's a tough business.
Nutrient dense.
It's a tough business because you have to balance nutrition, cost, minimise the waste, the size of it, etc.
And you've got to get the child to eat it.
It's got to be nice to the child. The question is, who is the customer? But that's a different thing. Now, wait, don't go there.
Yeah,
now,
we'll go down that rabbit hole.
I'm working with this kitchen, yeah. They have 13 different containers that they put things in, yeah. Gastros, trays and that. So I've been tickling them, showing them the 13, putting them on a visual, waiting for them to say, hang on, why have we got 13? I say, now you're asking the right question. Yeah. I could have told them that on day one.
Have they asked yet?
No.
How many times have you been there? 6?
No. I've been there 3 times now.
Yeah.
And they said, hang on, is there a reason why you put these 13 on this spreadsheet and did a picture for each one and showed us what goes in them? I said, yeah. They said, what's the reason? I said, what do you think the reason is? I said, well, it's a lot to manage, isn't it? Exactly. 13 types. You have to know you've got enough capacity for 13 types. So you've got to have pick faces for each of them. They've got a nest. You've got to have storage for them. Well, I reckon we can get it down to 6. Now you're asking the right question.
Excellent.
That's the business we're in. You haven't always got the luxury of that.
You're trying to take the horse to the water. It's got to decide it wants to drink.
But you can make them thirsty on the way.
Yep.
By pointing out stuff and saying, look at this, isn't this interesting?
How is the development of the digital thread? Has it done what you thought it would do?
Yes and no. So at the moment we have 7 courses. We're just wrapping up, halfway through an 8th, line balance and layout, cell layout. We've got 2 more coming this year, visual management and data analysis, dealing with abnormality. It's so hard nowadays to get your signal through the noise.
Yep.
As you know, there is so much going out there. But that Deming thing, consistency, we are getting a lot of people coming to us now and wanting the digital solution, but it took a while to get going.
Yeah.
What I really like is the blended stuff because I can help guide them and they can do a bit off their own back.
If you look back at the first one you did, when you know what you know now, would you do that differently? Is that a continuous?
So my favourite director is Paul Thomas Anderson, yeah, or maybe Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve. All directors of great films. They all say a similar thing.
What's your favourite film?
Used to be Leon, but now it's probably Interstellar or anything by Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson said something recently. He said a filmmaker never releases a film; they abandon it
because they could keep tweaking. It's like an engineer. If you're like, it's perfectly no. We could just make this bit better. The thing will never ever ship.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, look, we need to actually sell this at some point. Oh no, it'd be better if we tweaked this bit. I think obviously engineers and filmmakers or design engineers are obviously cut from the same cloth.
Which is why Lean Startup. Have you heard of Lean Startup? Eric Ries, fabulous thing. Rather than people investing, going all in, mortgaging the house, putting 150 grand into some new product, developing it in the background, tying a bow on it and saying ta-da to the world, and the world saying, no, you're all right, Ta.
Yeah.
You go through a low fidelity proof of concept and prototypes until you get a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
You show your customer early, and they say, I don't like that bit. That bit needs to be smaller. Invert that and paint it red.
That whole agile software development methodology,
it.
rather than the waterfall method where you spend ages and then you deliver something and that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And you're like, great.
Yeah.
Why have we got these spoons?
So
I obviously know.
You obviously know. So, about a year and a half ago, perhaps a year ago, I put out a message on LinkedIn that said, my grandfather made this spoon 50 years ago, and he made it. We were talking about a solution has to be for pain or for a problem. He made it because my nan would forever be taking the spoon after making a cup of tea, putting her sugar in, stirring it in the bottom, putting the hot wet spoon back in the sugar bowl to go crusty. Annoyed him. My grandfather, by the way, skilled man, couldn't read, but a wonderful engineer, a natural engineer.
Why was he annoyed? Just because it looked a bit messy?
No, because then you can't get a full sugar yourself because it's all crusted with
Surely
sugar.
that would melt when you put it back in.
I guess it would.
But anyway.
But then he designed a spoon to take away that problem. So he bent a spoon up, this is a normal spoon, and he bent it up so that it's smaller and that it sat on the side of the sugar bowl nicely, so that you take the sugar, put it in, but because you can't stir to the bottom to get all the sugar through without burning your fingers,
you'd get an appropriate spoon. That one would stay dry.
That one would stay dry. Now, I like that because it's simple is best. There's some Hindi jugad and Japanese karakuri, simple is best thinking in there, like you were saying a while ago.
Bit like the old space, the Russians with the pencil, after the Americans have spent £1 million developing a pen that would work in zero gravity. Yeah, there's sometimes it's just, and we do miss that, and that's why sometimes it's great having like new people into the business or young people into the business and go, why are you doing that? And you're like, well, I don't know, we've always done it like that. Yeah. We thought that was the way of doing it.
Cock on. So I wanted to get that 3D printed because there's not much in my family of value, and I get this, and my sisters also wanted a copy. So I reached out and said, can anybody help 3D print? And you helpfully.
We went to S-Scan, and they scanned it very kindly for us, and then we 3D printed it.
So now I have
an interesting. That's great. And why have we got this here?
Now that I wanted to talk skill for a minute.
Skill.
Human skill. It matters to you, I know.
Yeah.
It matters to you deeply here.
It's not celebrated enough.
It's not.
Particularly in education.
No. But I talked about my grandfather. He worked in Ford's experimental shops with no education, and he worked there because he was very skilled with his hands.
Yeah.
Academically, we measure intelligence the wrong way. Still, it must be frustrating for you. Still, we measure it from certificates for academic knowledge.
Yeah. And every child is put through that sausage machine, 9 GCSEs. Whether you're going to pass any or not, we're just going to make you all do 9 GCSEs.
Madness.
You know, it's not. And then these young people fail, or they've failed.
Yeah.
But they might be amazing at something else.
Yeah.
Potentially something practical.
It's just a different type of intelligence. So the best MD I've ever worked with, apart from you, Will, the best MD I've ever worked with was running a Japanese plant transplant extremely well. We won global awards for the factory. He was an apprentice.
Yeah.
And it was because he always had a connection to the shop floor. He'd done it with his hands,
Yeah.
as opposed to being finance or sales who'd been promoted. Nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but you've got to balance it. This skill, I know some people in Bentley. This actually has a part number. This is a proper tool within Bentley. They use some very expensive leather hide on the steering wheels, etc., as you'd imagine for a 200-grand car. And they use this to get rid of something called rabbit ears. As they fit the cloth, they use this to draw away any wrinkles and get it into the to make it nice and smooth and a beautiful fit. Somebody came up with that. I don't know who.
No.
But it's a perfect angle, it's a perfect shape, and I managed to get hold of one.
Because that is the main touch point of the car.
Yes.
The steering wheel.
Yeah.
Is like we make balconies for one of our customers. It's the handrail.
Yeah.
You know, it's they're not really interested in the rest of it. You know, when the customer is on it, stepping out of his flat onto his, it's that handrail. It's the same. If Bentley get that steering wheel right, if the stitching, I'm sure the stitching is immaculate everywhere,
Yeah.
but it's that thing. It's in your eye line constantly.
Oh,
you want that to be
obsessed with that they are. And these people are so skilled at using this. Here's the question though.
Are they mainly women doing that job?
Often women, because their dexterity is higher
much
generally.
higher,
Their fine motor skills generally are better.
Well, they've got small, generally smaller hands. I'm not sure I'd be very good at it.
No. But here's the thing. Across the world, we celebrate the MDs and CEOs. Yeah, we give them MBEs. We give them knighthoods. I guarantee the person who came up with that on the shop floor, nobody will ever know who it is.
Yeah.
And that has delivered as much value as any given CEO in a business.
Yeah.
We just don't know who they are.
We're not celebrating the craft skills of, you know, like you say, the stonemasons or the upholsterers or the carpenters, or, you know, they're things you can't learn from a book. You have to learn from a master and from doing.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman in my village, he makes handmade wooden violins, 12 a year. I said to him, he started off, his father was a cabinet maker, he started off in that wood industry. I said, so who taught you? He said, I didn't, I taught myself. He was taught to be a cabinet maker stroke wood person, but the actual act of making the violin, I thought that was definitely going to have to be a master student type situation, but no, he had mainly the skills, but then acquired the equipment and the knowledge and trial and error back from again. It's an amazing wood workshop, and in that actual workshop, he doesn't use a router, he doesn't use an electric saw.
It's all handcrafted.
It all hand saws, because he said, I'm selling a handmade violin.
Yeah.
And that's why it has that price. And it's something about it. He's a craftsman. You know, I was there the other day with my son because we were doing some woodwork at home. We needed some help. Yeah. And his mother had been unwell, so she wasn't in her bedroom. So he said, I took it on myself to change the skirting. Yeah. But he didn't go to the wood yard and buy skirting. He's got planks of wood and he's machining down with a machine, because that's not for violins. No. And then I said he's got a giant saw in there. He said, William, you go to the gym. I don't go to the gym. I saw up. He's got logs like this big. He hand saws.
Is he hench?
Well, pretty strong, because he said, well, I don't want to go to the gym when I can saw up. Yeah. I can saw up massive logs.
Just on that point, so I go to Japan semi-regularly. I was back there last October, November, and a part of the
Why do
reason,
you go?
to keep learning.
Right.
And last time it was I went to a couple of factories, and also I went on a shikunin trip. Now shikunin is a Japanese word that means master craftsman.
Ah.
Kimono makers, chopstick makers,
Yeah.
knife makers.
Yeah.
And there's a place called Kanazawa up on the north coast that we drove to. Hired a car through the mountains, bit of walking, and then Kanazawa, where you can see the workshops they're in. Always crappy little workshops, incredible skill, because I'm interested in skill. There's shikunin, and then there's something called takumi. And Lexus actually used the brand Takumi for part of their craftsman approach.
Yeah.
We need to celebrate that skill, and I know you try to, because you're.
But I remember you telling me, weren't there workshops like a shit show? Yeah. As in, like, they're unbelievable craftsmen, but they're not lean or organised or 5S at all.
I tried to work out why, because they're always carnage, yeah.
All the same.
A different flavour of carnage, but always carnage.
Yeah.
And in fact, I went to an exhibition while I was there. You know that Japanese woodblock painting, The Great Way of Kanazawa?
Yes.
Yeah. Hokusai.
Yeah. My son's got a picture in his bedroom.
Right. We got one in our lounge. I went to a exhibition of it in Kyoto, I think. Yeah. And there was a mock-up of his working area, and it actually said on there, it was always badly organised and very messy. And I think it's because a master craftsman, you get to that point where it's a bit like, it's an extreme version of job shops.
Yeah.
You're not shelling peas.
No. Everyone is.
It's a commission, and I think at the end of the day, they don't want to put everything away because they've only got so far on a commission.
Yeah.
And then they pick it up. But Christ, it's carnage.
And then they do value. I've got a beautiful handmade cup I was given as part of the tea ceremony, and that was quite a special thing to go into the tea house, and then it was actually one of the directors of a very large Japanese company, and it was his family actually served us with the tea.
Oh, nice.
There's a whole cultural thing, turn it
okay.
around, and then they gave us the cup afterwards, and I've got some very nice chopsticks and a wooden cup that's been made, like wood turned, beautifully. You can see that it's been hand painted, but like perfect, but by hand. There's a so
in your role as chairman of EAL,
yes.
can you
Not EA, no, not the chairman of the whole. No, I chair the industry board. For
the industry
EAL,
board, the industry board, Can you have a Shikunin award, a UK Shikunin award?
Yeah, because it's something you can't sometimes measure with. You can't measure with exams. It is there's a guy that does a YouTube channel and a podcast about the transition of heating systems, heat pumps.
Yeah.
I'm really interested, Nathan Gambling. But he started a guild of master craftsmen again.
Right.
And the only way you can become part of the guild is you have to have your work looked at by a master craftsman to become the master. The old apprenticeship master, that's how it was done, wasn't it? You could only take an apprentice on if you were a master.
Yeah.
And you became an apprentice, you did your apprenticeship, you then became a journeyman, then you did your masterpiece, which would be assessed by the other masters, and then you could become a master. You could then take on an apprentice. And it's those things, there's those skills that you can't attribute to, I've done my knowledge and behaviours and all of those type of stuff. So we better wrap up. But if anyone wants to, it's Senpai, what's the website?
Senpai, www.senpai.co.uk, and our platform is called Senpai Guide.
Yeah. It's very good. Thank you, Russell.
Will, enjoyed that.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.